everyone, and welcome to A Flow with Manifest Yoga Studio. So we're going to go ahead and start in a Japanese sitting position, so coming onto your knees and sitting down onto your heels. If this is a little bit tight or uncomfortable, then just place a cushion or a rolled up towel just at the back of your heels here to give you a little bit of height and not put so much pressure onto the knees and the shins. So you want to bring your hands onto your thighs and you want to close your eyes. I want you to pull the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. As you do this, you'll feel your belly button pull in gently towards your spine. Then I want you to pull your shoulders up towards your ears and roll them back and slide the shoulder blades down the back. And just come into a nice, easy, gentle breath. And I want you to check in with yourself and how you are feeling this morning. And it's okay whatever you are feeling. This are days where some days we wake up and we feel super strong and that we've got this, and other days we wake up and we feel overwhelmed and anxious and we just want to sit on our sofa and eat, and that's okay. Maybe we just want to move gently. Maybe we want to sit in meditation a little bit longer, or maybe we feel the need to move our bodies. So listen and honor to how it feels for you each day. So we're just taking this moment to check in. Really on our emotional body. How is it? How's it feeling? Are you feeling a little weary? Are you tired even though you're not doing anything much? That's also okay. Just check in here and really make sure that your shoulders are relaxed. Let's unlock that tension in your jaw. Take a nice big breath in through the nose. And let's just really sigh out any last bit of tension in the body. You bring your eyes to open, facing them down the mat in front. Bring your knees to the outside of the mat and keep the big toes to touch and start to lengthen down through a child's pose. Press the palms into the mat and just push the tailbone down. I want you to find length here, maybe reaching the hands a little bit further forward and really sending the tailbone back towards the back of your mat. And then with the breath in, you want to lift your heart, walk your hands around towards the right, take the left hand over on top of the right. And then roll those ribs out, so make some space in those ribs. Take a nice big inhale and swirl that breath around. Sink the tailbone down further. Breathe in, lift through center, walk the hands around towards the left. And again, make space in the ribs. Move it around a little bit if it feels good. Take a big breath in. Swirl that breath around those ribs. Breath in, come back through center, walk the hands back. Lengthen out a little bit more. Take the hands a little bit wider, so reach out to the sides of the mat. And opening up a little bit through the front line of the body. And then take your forehead down onto the mat here. And allow everything to soften. So release the tension in the hands. Release the tension in the shoulders. Release tension in the lips. And allow your body to find comfort in the space between your thighs. One more breath here. And a lovely gentle sigh out. Start to lift the heart, lift through the body, bring the hands underneath the shoulders and bring the knees in underneath the hips. Just take a moment here to just wiggle through the body, so making a couple of circles one way and then a couple of circles the other. You want to find tension in any place that it is existing. Maybe this is in your fingers, maybe it's in your wrists, maybe it's in your hips or your heels. Work out where you're storing it. So move around a little bit, make these little circles. And then find yourself in a lovely settled place. Take your hands just very slightly forward. Bring the hips over the knees. And take a breath in as you pull the chest forwards. Lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And then breath out as you bring the spine up towards the ceiling. Tuck the tailbone. And I want you to send yourself back a little bit here. Find that space in the ribs and stretching through the shoulders. Maybe take it all the way down. It's okay if it doesn't go. And then start to come forward again. And as you come forward a little bit more. Pull the chest up towards the ceiling, belly down towards the floor. And then pull the spine back up towards the ceiling, tuck the tailbone, and start to send yourself back. We're making these little sort of baby cat-cow movements with a little bit more. See if you can lengthen down, maybe stretch to the side body, and then start to come forward again. Adjust your hands, and maybe you want to move them a little bit more forward. Just find what position works for you. Maybe you don't want to stretch back too much, so let's do one more. So bring the chest forward. Lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling, curl the spine, send the tailbone back. Oh, find all that length and stretch and release. And a modified child's pose, and then come back through center. But this time we're going to reach the hands all the way forward. As we sink our heart down towards the floor and find ourselves in puppy pose. Lifting your heart, walk your hands back so that once again they're right underneath your shoulders. Tuck under your toes and just start to lift your knees off the floor. Take a moment here, pull the belly button in towards the spine. And then start to lift the tailbone towards the sky. Come right onto the tips of your toes and then gently roll your heels back as you find yourself in your first downward dog. Give this one a really lovely pedal out. Then I want you to really press strongly into your hands and lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. I want you to open your hip at first. So opening the hip, the right hip up towards the ceiling, and then squaring the hip back down. Open the hip up towards the ceiling, and square that hip back down. Open the hip up towards the ceiling, square the hip back down.
2 more times, open the hip up towards the ceiling. Square the hip back down. 1 more time, open the hip. And square the hip. Then bring the knee in towards the nose, the shoulders over the wrist. Take your pause here. And then come down into pigeon, so right knee coming towards right wrist. We're going to settle ourselves down, bring that back knee down onto the mat, and then start to shuffle that back foot towards the back of the mat as we try and bring this right thigh down onto the mat. It doesn't matter if it doesn't go, you just go where you can go. We're always looking to see if we can bring this hip kind of in alignment with this heel. Maybe you want to shift this foot up a little bit more, maybe you want to keep it where it is. Wherever you are at now, tuck under the toes of the back foot. Lift the back knee and shift the hips backward. And I want you to start to walk your hands back towards your body. I want you to lift the chest and the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And just melt the hips down into the floor. Breathe here. Just be aware of how this is feeling. Oh, probably feels a little tight. And it's okay. Maybe some little movements from side to side. Just feel into the space here. Beautiful, and then start to walk the hands back. So in a middle position, tuck under the toes of the back foot, lift through that back knee, and send that right foot towards the back of the mat and find yourself back in your downward dog. Give it a nice little pedal out. Feel into it. Notice how the side body is feeling today. Now, pressing strongly into the hands again, breath in as you lift your left leg into the air. Open up the hip. And then square the hip back towards the floor. Open up the hip. Square the hip back towards the floor. Open the hip. Square the hip. 2 more times. Open the hip. Square the hip. Open the hip. And square the hip. Bring that knee through towards the nose. Make a pause here. And then bring the left knee down towards the left wrist as you find yourself in pigeon on this side. So starting just to shift that right knee back. Starting to settle down into this pose, making any adjustments you need of this left foot now so it comes in line. Walking the hands back. Take that toes of the right foot, tuck them under. Lift the knee and settle down a little bit deeper. And again, move around a little bit here if it feels like you need it. So that's okay to just do some little wiggles here and just open up the hip and just notice how it's feeling. If you're holding a lot of tension there, it's okay. And then take those hands back underneath the shoulders, tuck under the toes of the right foot and swing that leg back to your downward dog. Take a moment in your downward dog, give it a walk out, give it a pedal out. Really feel free to move into this practice. And then nice and easy, we're going to walk our feet towards the top of the mat. Maybe coming into a halfway lift, maybe you need to start to lift the fingers off the floor as you walk towards the top. Space your feet so they're hip distance apart. And come into a ragdoll, so fingers to elbows, and just allow our body to hang here. Take a little bend into the knees here if it feels nice, and that's okay. And just hook the fingers to the elbows. If it feels nice and you want to straighten, then do so. Just allow some softness to come into the neck. And And then releasing the hands down towards the floor. Come back through your halfway lift. I want you to take your hands, place them underneath your feet as much as you can. Take a bend into the knees if you need to here. So you can start right here if this is what you feel like you need to do. Come and bring the toes or the tips of the toes right up to the wrists. And just stay right here if that's what you feel you need. Belly is onto the thighs. Maybe you can start to straighten. Maybe you want to just stay right here. Keep the belly on the thighs. Look down towards the floor. Allow that neck to be soft. Again, if you want to start to see if you can start to straighten the legs, and do so. If it feels like too much, don't go there. Just honor how you're feeling today. Nice big breath in, release. Coming back into your halfway lift. And breath out as you just take a little bound to your mat. Inhale as you roll all the way through. And bring your hands to your heart center. Take a moment. Find balance. Notice the four corners of the feet touching the mat. Then breathe in as you sweep your hands up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze up towards your thumbs. And then breath out as you sweep those hands around behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Send your knuckles down towards the floor. We're going to take a little fold here, so just see how you feel. Maybe you want to take a little bend into the legs as you fold over. Bring your belly down towards your thighs. Maybe you want to start to straighten through those legs. Keep sending the knuckles up towards the ceiling this time. And breath in as you release the hands down towards the floor. And take a moment in your halfway lift. You're going to step the left foot towards the back of the mat. You find yourself in this lovely pyramid pose. So make it as long as you need to make it. And see where you feel you need to go. Maybe turn the left foot in at about a 60-degree angle if you want to. Toes are pointing forwards. Maybe the hands need to come onto the shin, or if you've got blocks, grab blocks. Take a moment here, lift the chest towards the ceiling. And then we're going to come down into a low crescent lunge. So you're going to bring the left knee down onto the mat. We're going to take the hands onto that right knee, and we're going to soften into this crescent lunge. So pressing the hands onto the knee, lift the chest away. Press the knee away as you lift that chest up. Sink into the hips here. So start sinking forward. It's okay in this pose for the knee to go over the ankle. And keep sinking lower. Keep finding that space in the hip, keep releasing that tension. Then we're going to take our hands back down onto the mat, tuck under the toes of the left foot, and lift yourself back through that pyramid. Now you find out where you need to be. Maybe your stance is a little bit longer, keep it this long. And then breath out as you bring that belly down towards the thigh, maybe the forehead down towards the shin. Take the hands onto the mat, breathe in as you take the right leg into the air and open up the hip. We're going to square the hip. Open up the hip. Square the hip. Open up the hip. And square the hip. Bring the knee in towards the nose. Step that foot gently through, in towards the hands. Bring the back knee down. Bring the right hand onto the right knee. Left hand underneath your back into that lovely low crescent lunge. Press the knee away. Press the heart away. Sink into the hips. I'm going to take the hands down onto the mat and step the left foot forward. Find yourself back in your forward fold. This time I'm going to lift through the heart, Take your 2 fingers here and wrap them around your big toes. Press your big toes into the mat. First of all, starting up the breath and lifting the heart up, lengthening through the spine. And then with the breath out, you can descend the elbows out and pull the belly down towards the thighs. I'm looking for release in your lower back here. So I'm looking for you to lengthen through your spine. It's not really about the fold, this is about the release. Breath in, lift through the heart. Come into that halfway lift. Send the right foot towards the back of the mat. You know where you're going now, so maybe find that stance, see if it's in the right place. Maybe toes are pointing forward, maybe the right foot needs to be at a 60-degree angle. Find that length through the spine. If it feels good, bring the belly down towards the thighs and that forehead down towards the chin. Lift the heart, bring that back knee down. You find yourself in your crescent lunge, bring the left knee, hand onto the left knee, right hand onto that knee and sink into the hips. Lift the heart away, press the knee away, soften. Send the hands down towards the floor and tuck the toes. Find yourself back in that long pyramid. Hands down onto the mat. Swing the left leg into the air and open up the hip to start with. Then square the hip again. And then open up the left hip towards the ceiling. Square the hip. One more time. Open up the hip. Square the hip. Bring the knee back through to the nose and gently step the foot between the hands. Bring that right knee down onto the mat. Take the left hand onto the left knee. Take the right hand onto the left knee. Press the knee away. Press the chest away. Sink into the hips. Beautiful. Press the hands down onto the mat and step to the top of your mat and find yourself back in a halfway lift. Take a little wriggle out if it feels good. We're going to start to roll up through our spine, bringing the chin up last. This time, sweeping the hands through the heart straight up towards the ceiling. Send your gaze up towards your thumbs. And then take your hands around behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Take a breath in as you squeeze your shoulder blades together. And breath out as you fold. Take a bend into the knees if you want to. This is all about feeling. It's not about trying to touch our toes. We're looking for release through our front line of our shoulders here. So all the way through this, we're looking for release into hips, release into spine, release into shoulders, and then gently release the hands down onto the mat. Find yourself back in your halfway lift. We're going to step our left leg towards the back of the mat. We're going to bring our back knee down. We're going to find ourselves back in that crescent, so taking the right hand onto the right knee. Take the left hand on top as you sink your hips. Push it away. Really find yourself in this steadiness here. Take a moment here. Really soften, really notice this tension. Maybe it's in your shoulders right now. Maybe it's in your jaw. Are you letting it go? Maybe it's in your hips. Maybe it's even in your toes. Can you feel your toes relaxing? And tuck the toes of the back foot. Lift through that back knee. Keep the hand onto the knee as you find yourself in this high crescent lunge. So we're going to be really nice and steady here. Keep pushing the chest away. Keep finding that solidness. We're opening up through this beautiful line of the psoas here. And I want you to take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, and find yourself in this lunge, Squeezing the shoulder blades together and sending the knuckles down towards the floor. Now, as mindfully as you can, I want you to step it forward into mountain. So make any adjustment that you need to do. And then nice and mindfully, see if you can start to bring that left knee forward, bring the knee in towards the chest. Keep sending the shoulder blades towards each other. Keep sending the knuckles down. And see if you can open up through the hip here and keep balance. And then I want you to keep that clasp in the hands and see if you can send yourself into a half moon. So taking the left shoulder up towards the top of the ceiling and sending the left leg towards the back of the room. See how much you can send the right shoulder down. Keep opening up through that left hip. Pause here. Step it towards the back of the room. You find yourself in a warrior two, hands are still behind the back. Settle yourself into your warrior two position. Take a little release of the shoulders if you need to. And then come back into that position, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and breath out as you find yourself in ostrich. Big release of shoulders, big release of hips. Sink down into this and look and see if you can find a line of this bottom of this right thigh parallel to the floor. See how far you can sink your head down and keep sending the knuckles up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And then inhale as you lift up and find yourself in a warrior two position. Take a moment to sink into this. Take your gaze towards your right hand. And then breath in as you lengthen through your right leg. Exhale as you extend your body forward and find yourself in Trikonasana on this side. Right hand coming down onto right ankle or floor or wherever feels good for you. Left hand going up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze and look up at your left thumb. One more breath here. And we're going to lift it all the way up and back into our warrior two. Exhale as we settle down into that. Relax those shoulders, check in on your jaw. How are you doing? Then we're going to sink towards the back of our mat, down into a skandasana, just wherever you can go without your hands. Doesn't have to be all the way down. Send it all the way back to your warrior two. Send it back to your skandasana. Send it to warrior two. Last time, send it back to skandasana. This time you're going to bring yourself down onto your mat. So first of all, just lowering down a little bit. Take a moment here if you feel like you need to stretch out. And then just settle yourself down onto your mat. You want to keep this nice open shape. So you want to keep the left ankle, knee and hip in alignment. Send the right foot parallel, the right leg parallel to the mat. See if you can keep this nice and open. You're going to take the left hand around the inside of the left foot. Place it onto the mat and then just open up through the chest. If this is as far as you can go, that's okay. Maybe your hips are feeling really tight today. If this feels like it's available to you, sweep that left hand around the back of the left leg and take the right hand around the back of the, and see if you can bind them together. Sink down onto your tailbone and pull the chest apart. One more breath here. Beautiful, and then release the hands. Just gently push yourself back up through for skandasana and into a wide forward fold. So take a moment here, in middle, in center. Spine is nice and long, chest is open. Send the energy into all four corners of the feet. So you're not sending your tailbone too far back, or you're not leaning forward onto your hands. Just find that beautiful alignment where you're right in center. It's almost as if you're pushing the belly down towards the floor and lifting the chest. I want you to take your left hand into the center and take the right hand up towards the ceiling. Take the right hand down into center and take the left hand up towards the ceiling. Bring that left hand back down through center. And let's just take it down into more of a deeper forward fold. So just maybe walking your hands back towards the line of your heels. And just see where you go here. I want you to be soft through your spine and soft through the crown of your head. There's no forcing. There's just feeling and noticing. Where am I tight? Can I soften my shoulders in this pose? Can I release the tension in my neck and my jaw? Am I holding tension in my feet as I am here? Can I be soft and gentle in this pose? Breathe in as you lift the heart, and breathe out as you walk back around towards the front of your mat. And you come into a runner's lunge, so shuffling the right foot out towards the side of the mat, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, lengthening through this thigh. If this feels okay, maybe bringing the forearms down onto the mat. When you just slightly squeeze the right thigh in towards the side body and press the shoulders away from the floor. Lift the tailbone very slightly. Then take the hands back underneath the shoulders, step that right foot back, and you find yourself back in your downward dog. Give it a really lovely pedal out. If you feel you need to come down into a child's pose right now, then just do that. And you're going to walk your feet back to the top of the mat. Come into that halfway lift. Roll all the way up through your spine. Take the hands through the heart, send the fingers up towards the ceiling, take your gaze up towards your thumbs. Send your hands around behind your back, interlace your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together, open up through the chest and the front line of the body. Exhale as you fold, making more space in your spine. Maybe you will take that bend into the legs, that's okay. Maybe you're going to straighten. See if you can send the knuckles a little bit further over. How does this feel? Release the hands down onto the mat. And we're going to step that right foot to the back of the mat. We're going to bring the back knee down. Going to take the left hand onto the left knee. Make the right hand onto the top. And sink into this again. Again, just notice how's this feeling. Can you loosen the shoulders as you do this, even though you're lifting through the front line of the body? Are you holding tension in the toes? Can you soften the toes of the front foot? Untuck the toes of the back foot, lift through the back knee. Keep the hands onto that left knee, keep pressing the heart away. This is counter movement, this pressing away. It's just allowing this deep stretch and release. Find your steadiness, adjust if you need to. Take your hands around behind your back, interlace your fingers, send the knuckles down towards the floor. And be mindful, get ready to make that movement. So start to send the energy into the left foot as you bring yourself through to a mountain. It's okay if you stumble. Bring the knee in towards the chest. Keep sending the knuckles down towards the floor. And then send the knee out towards the side. Can you find this balance here just for a moment? And then start to work into that half moon. So now we're going to send the left shoulder down towards the floor. We're going to keep the hands, I'm showing you from the other side this time. Send the right foot out. Send that right heel towards the back of the room. Keep sending that left shoulder down, right hip up. And then step it all the way back. You find yourself back in that warrior two position. So adjust yourself as necessary. See if you can find this line. Breath in as you squeeze your shoulder blades together, and breath out as you find yourself down in that outstretched pose. See how far you can take those hands and knuckles over. Make sure you're sinking into the hip. One more breath here. And then lift up and find yourself in your warrior two. Sink into it. Take a moment. Check in on those shoulders. And then sink towards the back of your mat. Find yourself in that Skandasana. Send it forwards. Find yourself in warrior two. Sink back into Skandasana. Send it into warrior two. Last time, sink into that Skandasana. And this time, sinking it all the way down. Take a moment, take that little pause, and then sink down onto your mat. We find ourselves on the other side. So left leg is parallel to the side of the mat. We're going to open up through this right hip. Take the right hand around in front. Take the left hand to the side. Take a moment, pause here. If it feels good, you can take that hand all the way around. Find that bind. Beautiful. Release to the front line of this chest. Release the hands. Push yourself gently up and find yourself in that wide forward fold. I'm going to turn around so that you can see me a little bit easier. So we're back in the wide forward fold. Take the hands again underneath the center. Lengthen through the spine. Find the even distribution everywhere. So we take the left hand into the center. Right hand sweeps into the air. I'm going to take our right hand around behind the back and take hold of the left thigh. And see if you can use that as a lever just to pull the right shoulder up towards the ceiling. And we release that right hand down onto the floor. Take the left hand up into the air. Take the left hand around behind the back. See if you can take hold of the thigh. Or if you can't, it doesn't matter. Just use that if you can as a lever to take the left shoulder up towards the ceiling. Then we release that hand back down to the mat. We're going to take ourselves back to the front of our mat. And we come back into the runners. This time the left leg is forward and keeping the right knee off the ground. Just sinking into this a little bit, and if it feels good, coming down onto the forearms. Again, we're pushing the shoulders away, hug the left thigh in towards the side body. And then take the hands underneath the shoulders and you find yourself stepping back to your downward dog. Give it a lovely pedal arm, notice how the body feels. You're going to gently bring your knees down onto the mat. You're going to come back to the way you started, so sinking the heels down, the tailbone down on towards the heels, rather bring the hands back onto the thighs. And I want you to check back in, how does this feel right now? So just as we started, we want to lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling. We want to lift the shoulders up and then roll the shoulder blades down the back. We want to check back in. How does it feel for you now? Does your body feel a little bit more open? Have you feel like you've released some of the tension and some of the stress? Do you feel a little bit more grounded? Were you a little shaky in your standing pose? Were you emotional at any time? Often it's a good idea to journal after your practice. Take a moment, make some tea or coffee, and just write down how it felt. But for now, just close your eyes and be fully present in the moment. Fully present in your physical body. Fully present on your mat and in the space that you are in.
your time here. No need to rush. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay safe, stay well. Namaste.